Ugh. Kind of getting through a cold right now, so you're gonna have to bear with me on this one. I wanted to get this video out at a decent time around New Year's, so I wasn't really gonna wait for this to go away. My perspective on life constantly changes this year. My direction constantly changed. Philosophy and self-improvement books will do that. So I wanted to create this video as a collection of the significant ideas that I learned this year and that I applied, and hopefully my articulation of these ideas is useful to somebody else at whatever stage of life you're in. It'll be nice for me to look back on this video in the coming years and see what's changed and what's still the same. Haven't actually finished The Power of Now, but so far it's a pretty solid read. This was something that I was aware of for a while, but I only started to recently apply it in a disciplined way after giving it more context. I've struggled with being present my entire life and only started to see the effects of that towards the end of 2022. The past and the future do not exist. Any vision, and especially any disassociation from yourself when you're thinking of the past or imagining the future, is purely in your mind. A memory is a fragmented recreation of the past, and the future is entirely your imagination. So all worry, stress, anxiety, and especially disassociation from where you are right now, from where you are living presently, is entirely in your head. I began to ask myself why I was so afraid to live in the present moment, why I was so worried and stressed about past and future events constantly. I was asking myself why I would zone out all the time, and why I was completely disassociating and stressing and worrying and having anxiety about things that I was either remembering, which aren't where I am right now, or I was creating a vision for the future that was purely negative for no apparent reason. And yes, you're able to guess the future correctly. It's crucial to learn from your mistakes, but the only way you change future outcomes is by acting right now. The outcomes of your decisions only ever happen by what you're doing in front of you. Nothing happened and has ever happened in the past or the future. Everything is happening right now. I found that by living presently and catching myself when I was thinking about the past or imagining the future, that I started to live more genuine to myself in the moment, and decisions in my day-to-day life became much easier when I did two things. I trusted that I'm making the right decision for myself right now, because right now is as smart and as capable as I'll ever be. I stopped worrying about the past and worrying about the future. I trusted that I've learned from my mistakes, and from learning from my mistakes, I'm going to make the best decision right now for the future. This ability is something that I believe we have to train, and I'm still working on it. You can never be 100% present all the time, but in living more fully, you are being present. You're being exactly what you are right now. The disassociation, and I keep using the word disassociation because you're not being true to yourself when you're not living the present moment. And I know that we're not perfect at that. I know that we have the ability to remember the past, and we have the ability, distinctly as human beings, we have the ability to imagine the future, but the worry and stress associated with it isn't necessarily useful. It's important to start with the end in mind, but the only place where any of the outcomes of your actions are made are right now. The only place where any of the decisions that affect the outcomes in your life are made are in the present moment. This concept really stuck with me reading The Way of the Superior Man again. There's a section in the beginning of the book where he talks about living with a steady yes to the present moment, a clear and concise trust in now. Being present, we are confronted with our fears, but we're also confronted with the beauty of art and the beauty of expression and the beauty of being alive and being a human. This, like everything I'm going to talk about here, is a continual journey. Nothing we do is a means to an end, but a constant strive for achievement towards the answer to why we're here. Always question what you have decided to be true, and only then will you truly grow. By challenging why you believe what you believe, you will reveal the foundation as to why you live the life you live. You are what you think about each day. Your thoughts determine your actions, and then your actions determine your thoughts. And even at a young age, I was told to manifest what I wanted, go at things with conviction and belief. And that's a hard thing to explain to other kids as a kid, and even through high school and university. And people would say to me, oh, well, I just imagine something and it'll happen. No, but yes, what you think about and what you believe with conviction no matter how trivial, determines how you act throughout your life. It determines how you see the world and how you see other people. How you act develops into subconscious habits, and those subconscious habits become who you are. You are your actions. You are the sum of your actions, good and bad. And then you can take on the research into neuroplasticity, the fact that your brain physically changes on a microscopic level as you develop new patterns of thinking and new habits, and that old beliefs and old habits can take on new meaning with new associations and new perspectives. Human beings are creatures of habit. We create systems to guide us through daily life and also to give context to life in general. And true habits are taken care of by the subconscious mind. And the amount of functional power between the conscious and the subconscious mind is something like 5% for the conscious and 95% for the subconscious. What you decide to focus your limited amount of conscious ability on substantially affects what the subconscious mind systematizes and turns into habits. Some excellent books for this: Think and Grow Rich, As a Man Thinketh, $1 Million Habits, Power of the Subconscious Mind. This one's about girls. I'm kidding. But actually, thinking about gender and masculine and feminine polarity between people, not just men and women, has affected how I interact with others and my expectations of myself. Imagine a line or a spectrum with an extreme masculine energy on one end, extreme feminine energy on the other end, with the middle being some sort of neutral blend of the two. No spark, no polarity. And I'm really not for the whole idea that men and women don't have gender characteristics. I mean, look at young, unbiased children playing. And this isn't a black and white argument. This isn't masculine or feminine. This is to what degree? To what degree do we possess both? And this concept of polarity exists not just with men and women, but with all things in life. For something to exist, it immediately implies that the opposite has to exist, to whatever degree. As it applies to human beings, men and women, it is to understand where you exist on this line of polarity between men and women, and to understand the degree of which you have both in yourself. And this isn't a comment on hypergamy or anything like that. It's purely just yin yang. There's a force and an equal opposite force, both equally important. One cannot exist without the other. And to what degree? The to what degree is just as important as understanding there's a polarity. You don't have to embody an extreme end of either way. There is an opposite to me, to whatever degree. Some great books for this: Way of the Superior Man, No More Mr. Nice Guy. I have to admit, this is a section I rewrote a few times just because I felt that I understood it intuitively, but to explain it to somebody else, I wasn't doing it justice writing it down. So to apply it to the context of this video, I had to flesh it out a bit more. Once I understood how compound growth worked, it completely changed my approach to everything that I did. The simple formula for compound growth or compound interest, and I'll use financial terms to make it a bit easier. As you earn interest on your investment, you reinvest those earnings back into the principal investment, exponentially growing the returns you get from an unchanging return rate. Okay, so what the does that mean? Let's tie that into growing a skill, or growing an audience, or growing a fill in the blank. As you improve at a task, skill, goal, etc., continuously, your ability to get better at the skill will increase. So you're not just incrementally getting better at something. As you get better, your ability to get better at the skill also improves. As an example, when I was learning how to use Premiere Pro, which is Adobe's main video editing software, it took me a number of years to teach myself how to use it. But as I got better at using Premiere Pro, one, got better at using other unrelated Adobe programs, and two, got better at using other video editing software by other companies, purely from using Premiere Pro. The skill of learning the ability to use that software increased my ability to learn how to use other software, which exponentially increased my ability to use all of this software. And to reiterate, this doesn't mean that you put in the same amount of effort every iteration or every time that you work at this task or goal. It's not a one-to-one. Each time you work at the goal, you are getting better at it by some percent. And as you continually improve on your goals, something that will stay continually challenging, your results will start to outweigh your effort, even though your effort is consistent. And some types of growth will plateau. Take building muscle, for example. There's only a certain amount of muscle you can build, and There's a good chance you can build that amount of muscle in your lifetime if you're consistent and that's something that you're driven to do. When you look at something like a hockey stick growth chart, that's a contained system. That's consistent, guaranteed growth. And when you're working towards a skill where there's many variants involved and it's not a contained system, the growth can seem unpredictable, but you know when you're improving. You can track your growth in a multitude of different ways. And the real trick to this when trying to accomplish something is not striving and struggling to finish it, assuming that it's always out ahead of you, but to become the person that is doing the tasks that need to get done to accomplish the goal. Because when it comes to compounding, especially compounding that's not guaranteed, consistency is key. If you continue to show up and you can develop a metric to understand if you're improving, your ability to learn and the consistency will lead to compounding. But get better each time. You at any moment in your life are what you have limited yourself to. It is crucial to challenge your fears and your beliefs in order to grow. The beliefs and views that we've held have led us to exactly where we are. And if you're not content with something in your life, ask yourself why. Be honest with yourself. Recognize if your internal dialogue is you or someone or something else that you've created. There's a section in one of Chris Williams' podcasts with Jordan Peterson where he talks about predators, like the metaphorical human adversary. He says, predatory tribes out to get you that are against your beliefs, they're pretty bad. Predatory friends, those that are close to us that betray us, they're also pretty bad. But what about the predator in yourself, the one that hates you? And it isn't you. You can actively disagree with it. Your thoughts that sound like you, that talk you down, that degrade your self-worth, that stop you from your dreams, death by 1,000 concessions. I think it's important to have humility, but I think it's crucial to see the damaging inner dialogue that you have that you're ultimately creating for yourself. So challenge yourself why you believe what you believe. And if a thought pops up, no matter how trivial you imagined it, it is a possibility. It's in your own mind. We all wage an internal war, and it's important to recognize your inner dialogue and make a decision that's best for you right now, proving it wrong so it loses its grip. This is a part that I wrote down, but I want to read it directly because I think what I wrote is a little bit more articulate than what I'll be able to say. We formed many of our beliefs and views of the world when we were very young, too young to have developed the crucial areas of our brain responsible for intelligent reasoning and emotional maturity. These beliefs and views formed within our adolescent minds are very alive and imprinted in the areas of your mind that continue to shape how we see the world to this day. In challenging your views and not allowing your inner dialogue to shoot down seemingly trivial approaches to why you have certain beliefs, you allow your current self to, in a way, talk to your younger self through experiences you did not have the capacity to comprehend in your adolescent years. The most difficult of your beliefs to challenge will lead to the most profound growth. And the idea of confronting the hard things applies to my current work. In Stephen Pressfield's The War of Art, he talks about what he calls resistance and how we all have resistance in our mind. He creates an entity out of it. And he says that this stops us from striving for our true calling, striving to do our true work. And it's essentially an incarnation or an entity that's that voice in your head that's stopping you from wanting to do your dreams, stopping you from wanting to be the person that you are. In fundamental human fashion, we're always striving for more. We're striving for context. We're striving to understand ourselves and the world, which is always a journey filled with uncertainty. It's always taking a step forward with bravery, not knowing what the next step might be. And that uncertainty leads to an internal dialogue where you can ultimately disassociate from them, surrender to our fears and the inner dialogue and the unknown, obscuring our aspirations. Or we can understand that this is a daily fight and it's of the human condition to overcome obstacles. We are built to aspire, to take on responsibility and to climb the mountain in front of you. One definition of hell is after you die, for one to see not what they were, but what they could have been. Great reads, The Mountain is You, The War of Art, The Power of Now. So these were the ideas that stuck with me the most as a 20-year-old man, and I continue to update my beliefs and change my perspective and work towards my goals. And hopefully this is useful to others. I think it's crucial to formulate your ideas and be creative and express and turn your ideas into something tangible to give to others. I think that that's quality of the human condition, is to express to others. That's it for today, and that's a belated wrap on 2022. And remember to create, express, and influence. In a Lynch fashion, I'll just put my sunglasses on because the future is looking
very bright.